Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 21st Feb today, and in this video we are going to solve some important questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. Before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give you the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically, in this video, we are going to discuss three types of questions, and these three types of questions are taken from three different sources. So, in the first part of our discussion, the questions which we will discuss, we will take them from the current affairs. What we will do here? We will take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We will break them down into the simplest language possible, and we will try to derive the possible prelims questions from these particular articles so that it will give you the idea which part of the newspaper is important for you, what should be your approach, and how you can expect a possible prelims question from these particular articles. This is what we are going to do in the first part of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will shift our approach to the second part. Here we will discuss questions from the previous year question book. What we are going to do here? Sorry, in the second part we will discuss questions from the static portion. Here what we do, we'll take up every day we'll take up a static topic, and currently we are discussing Indian polity, and in Indian polity we are discussing the office of the vice president. So today we are going to discuss few important concepts related to office of the vice president, and then we will derive a possible prelims question from that particular topic so that it will give you the idea what should be, how you can expect what kind of questions can be asked in the exam. This is what we are going to do in the second part of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static part, we will shift our approach to the last part of our discussion where we will solve some previous year questions. To me this is the most important part because in here we learn what is the vocabulary which the UPSC uses for framing your paper, what are the different trends they follow, and also we'll try to learn how we can solve the questions if we don't have the proper knowledge, what are the different methods by which we can solve those questions. Here I'm talking about the elimination method, and also we will learn how to implement this knowledge which we will get from this initiative or from these questions in the upcoming exam. This is in nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now before we will start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel, share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative and also please do write in the comments what do you feel about this initiative. This is for you guys. When you subscribe, when you comment, it boosts our confidence and it motivates us to work more hard on such videos so that we will provide you the best information possible. Please do subscribe and comment, and please do like the video. Now without any delay without any delay, let's have a look at the first question which we had brought today. As here you can see, the question is with respect to the difference between what distinguishes the consumption-led growth and the investment-led model of economic growth. So these are two models. One is consumption-led model and investment-led model of economic growth. Before we will go to the context of this question, let's solve the question first. Then we will bring the context. We will I will bring everything associated with it. First we will solve the question. As here the question says, which of the following statements accurately distinguish between a consumption led and an investment led model of economic growth? First statement says a consumption led model primarily relies on increased government spending, while an investment-led model focuses on private sector savings. This is totally absurd statement, we can say. In the whether it would be consumption-led or investment, it does not primarily rely on government spending. Here both the private sector and the public sector are involved. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, it says a consumption-led model emphasizes boosting aggregate demand through higher consumer spending, while an investment model prioritizes increasing productive capacity through capital formation. This is accurately what it depicts. What is the difference between the consumption model and the investment model? The consumption model, it is based on giving money into the people's hand that people should be able to consume. We are discussing this consumption led growth from for money classes now. So the second statement with respect to this question is 100% correct. Now, third statement says a consumption-led model leads to higher inflation in the short term, while an investment-led model results in immediate job creation. Higher inflation, 100% consumption-led model can lead to higher inflation. So does the investment model. But what about job creation? The second statement. Let's see. Look at the second statement. The second part of the statement. It says while an investment model-led model results in immediate job creation. Does it result in immediate job creation? I don't think so. Even though it can create some jobs, but the model for which it is created, it does not yield that growth. So this third statement, it is incorrect. Fourth statement, a consumption-led model is more effective in developed countries economies, while an investment-led model is better suited for the developing economies. Even though it may seem correct that consumption-led model is more efficient in developed countries, and for developing countries they should depend on investment model. But if we understand it, it is not 100% the true picture of the growth. It is not 100% true, because in whether it would be developed country or developing country, they need both types of model. They need the collaboration of the both consumption should be there, both investment should be there. So the fourth statement is also incorrect. So here the correct answer to this question is option B. Now we understood the question, we understood, we solved the question. Now you can ask me, sir, why we had brought this question here. Basically there was a discussion in the Hindu newspaper today. Basically, we are discussing it from our previous classes, that how consumption led model is the solution of India right now, how we have to, the lack of growth, the lack of private sector going out. Right now we don't have that much private investment. The major reason for that is the consumption demand is we don't have this consumption demand. The major reason for that, what we believe, is we don't have the consumption demand. And for us to, for our growth, what is important for us, what did we understood from our earlier classes, that consumption should be there, then only we can achieve the growth. And with respect to that, we had brought in our previous in our budget, we had seen how government has brought tax rebates, and also how uh, repo rate has been decreased. We had seen all this stuff, going to lead the consumption growth, to push the consumption led growth. But here the author, he contradicts with this model. He says that if consumption led model was the only solution, then China would have never achieved the growth which they had achieved. The author, he compares the growth of India with respect to China, and there is huge difference how China has grown since LPG reforms, and how India has grown since LPG reform. Basically, LPG reforms of India from 1990 itself. At that time, both India and China were at the same place. But China believed in investment model. They developed the infrastructure. Because of that, they had achieved the heights which they are right now. And India also tried to go for the investment model, but after a certain period during the global recession in 2008, 2007, 2008, we changed our model, and we more focused on consumption demands, and because of that we were not able to achieve that growth which China has achieved. So according to the author, he says that even though the consumption model can be good for some time, it is very immediate, it gives the immediate results, but for the longer run, it is the investment led model which has the high impact in the economy. This is why we had discussed this question. I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. Now with this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Here the question is with respect to the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression. You might have guessed why we had brought this question. you know right now in our country, it feels like that we had achieved everything. We had achieved the economic growth, we had achieved the goal of Viksit Bharat, and the only problem which is prevailing in our country is the problem issue of Ranbir Allahabadi and his co-friends, the latent show on the YouTube. With respect to that, how the backlash they had seen from last few days, how many FIRs had been filed against them, how the governments of different states had gone active after the statements which were made by these guys. It is very much astonishing, it is very much surprising. So with respect to this, there was interview which was published by the Hindu newspaper, how this right to freedom of speech and expression, how it is how it is restricted, how it has certain restrictions, and also right to be, right to feel offended. Is there any validity to right to feel offended? So the question is right to freedom of speech, right to freedom of speech, and right to feel offended. What is the constitutional status to that? So this is a total discussion. The author also highlighted that whatever the Ranveer Allahabadi and his girlfriend said on that show, that's very much obscene, that's very much vulgar. But is that the reason, is that the sole reason that they should be criminally charged? Can that be the reason that they should be criminally charged? What does the constitution say? So what does the constitution say? We have article 19(1) in 19(1) and article 19(2). There we have subsets about the freedom of speech and expression. So for example, they said certain things, and according to the restrictions given by the constitution, the restrictions which are given by the constitution, for example, public order, decency, or morality, the things which they said, they don't, they don't come, they are not included in the restrictions which are given us in the article 19(2). So according to them, even though the things which they said, they were obscene, they were very much vulgar, but they don't come under the restriction, and that cannot be the reason that they should be, they should be charged in the different courts, in the different police stations. So it curbs their right to freedom of speech, even though that is obscene, even though that is vulgar. So that was the whole discussion which was made there. The question which they raised is the major question, which that's why I brought this discussion here, is right to get offended, is right to get offended, right to get offended, is it a fundamental right? Does it have any constitutional status behind it? So with respect to this answer in this question, they said it is totally unconstitutional. There is no constitutional backing to right to get offended. You can say, for example, if I say anything, it can be philosophical to me, but at the same time it can be horrible to you guys, it can be bullshit to you guys. So there is difference, we have different perspectives, we see world into different perspectives, and that is why, anything, even the Supreme Court, when the movie was released, Urta Punjab, you would have seen how much vulgar that was. After every second there was abusive language used. When it went to the Supreme Court for the heckling test was carried on, the Supreme Court said, what is, obscenity is bad, but vulgar, and world is vulgar, and we have to be vulgar. So with respect that, in a way, Supreme Court highlighted that what is, what is vulgar to you may not be vulgar to anybody else, what is philosophical to you may not be philosophical to anybody else. So Supreme Court highlighted that in that verdict, that even though things may be spoken in a way that may not suit the society, but that is not what it makes the unconstitutional. So here constitution, here the morality which we can see in this article itself, in the restrictions, it is not about the morality of the society, it is basically talking about the constitutional morality. What does the constitution say? The respecting of the constitution, how does the constitution uphold it? Even though the statement, the author highlighted that the statement which they made there, and that was very much obscene, that was very much illegal, that was very much horrible statement, but that could not be the reason for them getting into the jails, getting into the trouble. What the backlash they are facing right now, that should not be the reason. And so with this, let us see what now cases are filed. Maybe Supreme Court may change its verdict, we don't know what can happen. But here right now, what is the situation, what is the position which we should take on? The position is that it is, what they said is not correct, it is not socially well, but there is no constitutional backing to, to send them to the jail, to criminalize those people. They said they have the right to freedom of speech, and a right to get offended is not the reasonable restriction to the right to the freedom of speech. That is the whole discussion which we need to know here. So with this, let's solve the question and get the more idea about it. Here the question says, regarding the fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression, Under Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution, consider the following statements. First statement: the right to freedom of speech and expression is absolute and includes an unrestricted right to offend. Totally incorrect. It is not absolute. Even though right to offend is not, is not even legal thing in the Constitution. So first statement is totally incorrect. Second statement, it says reasonable restrictions on this right can be imposed in the interest of public order, 100% correct. Decency or morality as specified in Article 19 to 100% correct. But here the morality does not mean the social morality, it is the constitutional morality. Third statement, judicial interpretation have consistently held that the speech that incites violence or hatred is protected under Article 19(1)(a). Totally incorrect, totally opposite to what judiciary has said. So with respect to this question, what is the correct statement? The only correct statement is option B. With this, I hope you had understood the topic. You had understood the core concept of the topic, the controversy, Ranbir Allahabadi controversy, and what should be the our stand with respect to that. You may reach to the prelims, you may reach to the mains, you may clear the mains, you may reach to the interview, and you can expect this question about this controversy. They may ask you, you would have heard about the a particular person, what is your take on that, what do you say? And you have to talk like a bureaucrat. You should know what does the constitution say with respect to that. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Here the question is with respect to the national mission for clean Ganga. Why we had brought this question? Because of the right now Kumbh Mela is going on. Millions of devotees are coming there and taking bath in the Ganga. But here the concern is of the pollution. The water is highly polluted, and the report given by by the Central Pollution Control Board, it highlighted that the fecal matter is present in the water, and it has gone five times higher than what is prescribed. So there is huge water pollution in the Ganga. So with respect to that, we need to know what are the missions brought out by the government in cleaning the Ganga water. So with respect to that, the mission it is National Mission for Clean Ganga. Let's solve this question. Let's understand this concept through this question. Here the question says, regarding the National Mission for Clean Ganga, consider the following statements. First statement, National Mission for Clean Ganga is implemented under the Ministry of Forest, Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Totally incorrect. It is implemented under Ministry of Jal Shakti. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, the Namami Ganga program is an integrated conservation mission approved as a flagship program by the Union government in June 2014 to accomplish the twin objectives of the effective abatement of pollution, conservation and rejuvenation of national river Ganga. 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. And here I would like to add one thing. Whenever, most of the times, I'm not saying 100% it would be correct, but most of the times whenever there are statements which are too large and they are hard to understand sometimes, most of the times if you do know the answer, those statements are correct. So here statement second is, it is correct. Third statement says the National Mission for Clean Ganga acts as the implementation arm of the National Ganga River Basin Authority. 100% correct, it is true. Fourth statement, the National Mission for Clean Ganga exclusively focuses on the main stem of the Ganga and does not include its tributaries in in its rejuvenation efforts. Totally incorrect. Here it is extreme statement. It does include its tributaries. So with respect to this question, what are the correct statements? Correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3 only. With this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. Now with this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought here. Here the question is with respect to the Lokpal and Lok Act 2013. Why we had brought this question? Because there is a controversy that Lokpal highlighted that under its jurisdiction, High Court judges do also come, and to this it felt that it is violation of the separation of power, as Lokpal is mostly elected by the executive wing of the government. So it feels that it is the separation of the power, and to this the Supreme Court has restricted this order of the Lokpal, that the High Court judges do come into its domain. Why they gave this judgment? What is the reason for that? They believe that the Lokpal High Courts, they are the constitution, article 214, it only gives the constitutional status to high courts. But if we talk about the high courts, they were formed by the parliamentary order, which was pre-independence framed by the British government. So that's why high court judges do come into our domain, because in our domain every body which is made by the which is formed by the parliamentary order comes under our jurisdiction. So with respect to that, by taking this criteria, high courts do also come under our domain. So this would be checked by the Supreme Court. Right now Supreme Court has stayed this order, and they will discuss it further, and we will come to know about that when they will give the final decision. But here what becomes important for us is Lokpal. Let's have a look at it, what it is. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding the Lokpal and Lok Yuktas Act 2013. First statement, the Lokpal is an anti-corruption body that has jurisdiction over the Prime Minister, ministers and members of the Parliament. 100% correct. Second statement, the Lokpal is empowered to inquire into complaints related to corruption by public servants in both center and state. Here it is a very confusing statement, even though it seems true. But if we look at, that's why we have to read between the lines when we are reading the question. Here the question says, the Lokpal is empowered to inquire into complaints related to corruption by public servants in both center and state. Lokpal is for center and Lok Yuktas are for state. So here, when we take the common view of the both, this statement becomes incorrect. Third statement, the selection of the Lokpal members is done by the selection committee consisting of the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, Chief Justice of India and eminent jurist. Totally incorrect. Here are other few members who belong to this committee, and that they are the Prime Minister of India, PM of India, Chief Justice of India, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, and an eminent jurist. These are the members who belong to the selecting committee for the Lokpal. Who are they? Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha, and an eminent jurist. So with respect to this question, what is the correct statement? The correct statement is statement 1 only, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option A. With this, let's move to the another question and see what we had brought there. Here the question is with respect to the regulating framework for OTT over the top platforms in India. So let us see what does the question say, and let's understand about it. Regarding the regulatory framework for over the top OTT platforms in India, consider the following statements. First statement, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting is the nodal ministry responsible for regulating OTT content. 100% correct. Please remember that OTT platforms in India are currently governed by a comprehensive legislative framework that mandates censorship of the content. This is not true. Third statement, the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rule 2021 provide a three-tier grievance redressal mechanism for OTT content. 100% correct. And what is the three-tier? OTT firms should first, for the redressal mechanism, first it should be OTT firms should provide for that, file complaints within the company itself. If you are not getting your answers from here, then you should go, then there should be the industrial level association. Second tier should be the industrial level association. Go there and file your complaints. If you are not getting answers from here also, then the third tier is of the government of information and broadcasting will set up committee. The committee set up by the information and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and they will take up your questions. What are your grievances? So here this part is little controversial, because they believe that here it can dilute their right to freedom of speech and expression, that government would want whatever they want to show on these platforms, they would order them to show it in their favor. So this is how it can be diluted. That is why this is in the news. With this, we complete our today's discussion with respect to the questions related to current affairs. Now let's move to the another part of our discussion, where we will solve a question from the static portion. As you know, right now we are discussing the office of the vice president, and today we are left with the last topic related to the office of the vice president. It is oath of the office taken by the vice president. So let us see how does it play. Let's solve the question and get more idea about it. Here the question says, consider the following statements about the oath of office taken by the Vice President of India. First statement, the oath of office of the Vice President is prescribed by the Constitution of India under the third schedule. 100% correct. It is prescribed under third schedule. Second statement, the Vice President of India takes the oath of office in presence of the Chief Justice of India. No, he takes his oath in presence of President of India. So the second statement is incorrect. Third statement, the oath administered to the Vice President is a simple affirmation and does not include the reference to allegiance to the Constitution. No, it includes the reference to the allegiance to the Constitution. So third statement is also incorrect. So here we understood that statement 2 and statement 3 are incorrect. So we are left with option 1 only. That is, the correct option is option 1 only. It is the oath of the office of the Vice President is prescribed by the Constitution of India under third schedule, and about in front of whom he gives his oath, it is the President in front of whom he gives his oath, and his oath does talk about the allegiance to the Constitution. So with this, I hope you had understood this topic also, and in this way a question can be asked related to the oath of the Vice President. Now let's move to the last part of our discussion, where we will solve a previous year question and we will conclude our discussion there. Here this question was asked in the physical geography in the year 2020, and let's see what was the question. The question says, consider the following statements. Jet streams occur in northern hemisphere only. Whenever you have these extreme statements, most of the times those extreme statements are incorrect, but in this question there is a catch. First statement, jet streams occur in the northern hemisphere only. In jet streams, they are the westerlies, they occur in both the hemisphere. So if you have the basic knowledge, you can mark it is incorrect. Second statement, only some cyclones develop and we know that cyclones that can be tropical and non or temperate cyclones. Tropical cyclones, we know about that. So we know that the difference between the two are one develops the eye and another does not develop the eye. So we can say here only some cyclones develop an eye. It affirms our definition that there is difference between. We know that there is difference between the cyclones. Some develop the eye and some don't develop the eye. So statement 2, it is what? It is correct. Now we are left with the statement 3. It says the temperature inside the eye of a cyclone is nearly 10 degrees lesser than that of the surrounding. This is incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statement would be option 2 only, that is option C only. With this, I hope you had understood every topic which we had brought today. I hope you were not confused anywhere. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. I would try my best to reach out to you and clear that. With this, I would like to thank you guys for staying with me. Thank you very much and have a nice day.